Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the second edition of On the Way Up, our digital event headline dedicated to the subject of CSR. We are here to talk about what Manitou Group has been doing over the past 12 months and what's planned for the months ahead. And we'll be doing it with a lot of enthusiasm, but also with a lot of humility. Michel Denis, you're the president and CEO at Manitou Group. First of all, can I ask you for a few words about the quite exceptional situation that we have been experiencing for more than a year now?
Thank you, Frank. I think the last time we met up, the group has been doing extremely well, an outstanding commercial performance, an outstanding order book. In the same time, like many companies around the world, we have had to cope with a lack of visibility, with a peak of inflation, with uncertainty in the geopolitical situation. So how do we have to steer the company in this fog, in this moving world we are in? On the one hand, by agility. It's a key word at Manitou Group, so we continue with a lot of agility to adapt to the situation. On the second hand, our DNA, a long-term vision, and an investment in our long-term vision. So we continue to invest and to head up to our products development, services development, our premises, and our CSR policies.
And what you are saying, Michel, is that CSR is a meaningful undertaking for the group.
Sure, CSR is not a constraint. It is where we are heading. We are in motion in this subject, and we are taking big steps forward. On the past year, we have locked down fundamentals on which we can build the future of Manitou Group. Firstly, we have continued to implement our CSR roadmap based on our 4 pillars: circular economy, improving safety and security of our people and our users all around the world, human and ethics, and 4th pillar, our low carbon trajectory. Just to give you an example on major steps, we have decided on a design standpoint that for all new products in aerial working platforms, all new products will be designed on a 100% electric model in the future.
And another fundamental area is governance, right?
Indeed. To support our long-term vision, we have decided also to structure the governance of the company, will help us embody and steer everything we do. First, we have put in place a CSR committee at board of directors level of Manitou Group. This offers an overall framework at the highest level with a power commitment to follow up the target and the performance of the group step by step. Second, we have introduced another body, which is a CSR steering committee. This is an operational steering committee that cuts across all the organization at Manitou Group and all over the world, with a decision-making capacity on all topics to go ahead on CSR. It deploys the CSR at all levels of the company. And finally, we have put in place an information update with the top 100 to keep our management up to speed on CSR.
And so, how would you sum up this year in terms of CSR?
This year, we have accelerated, definitely. We have set up a structure, and we are on a positive path. We have a long-term vision, we have long-term targets, but we still have a lot to do. And we will do everything to get there, step by step. It is ambitious. I am very confident that our progresses, step by step, will make a success in the future for Manitou Group.
Thank you very much, Michel, for this detailed information. Let's start right now with our first theme, a human and ethical company. In this program, last year, we mentioned the Group Gender Index. Hello, Aude Vrezac. You are the CSR director at Manitou Group. Can you give us an update on this topic?
Yes, thanks, Frank. It's part of our roadmap on diversity, and we have made some progress on the issue of gender equality. The aim was to finalize the criteria to measure gender equality across the group. So we built an international gender index to measure inequalities on 4 themes: compensation, professional development, gender diversity, and precarity. In the third quarter, we will deploy this index on 4 countries: United States, India, Italy, and France, and then we will extend it to some other of our entities.
Very interesting. You have also made a lot of progress on the theme of sponsorship.
Yes, the first structural action was to define the guidelines, to outline and to make sense on our action on a group scale. So we validated the principle that our sponsorship would focus on education and inclusion. So now this framework is clear. We are stepping up our action on projects that we are supporting. By 2025, we are aiming for 1% of our net profit to be dedicated to initiatives dealing with education and inclusion. And this can happen through direct funding, but also by co-funding projects put forward by subsidiaries and sponsored by employees.
And do you have an example to mention?
Yes, we are going to finance a project that was jointly sponsored by 2 employees, one based in South Africa, the other based in France, with an NGO called Just Dig It. And the aim of this partnership is to educate and empower farmers in Africa in a technique of digging semicircular bounds to retain rain waters, with the objective to restore and replant land that has deteriorated due to severe and persistent droughts.
Great initiative. And what about skills sponsorship?
First, we set ourselves a target to do 2,500 hours per year of skill sponsorship. And then we gave the subsidiaries the autonomy to develop their own action depending on their culture in each country.
And can you give us concrete examples?
Yes, in India, for example, our employees are training local people in how to drive and operate backhoe loaders to help them find a work. In Italy, our CSR committee initiated some collective action to pick up litter with the support of the city authorities.
I guess you manage also actions in France.
Yes. In France, we are offering individual mission, but we are also developing a collective mission which are tailored with the needs of the charities. And to deploy them, we've launched a platform called WeAct that all employees can connect and see the mission on offer from the charities in question. So there is a very wide range of mission. It could be, for example, welding, but it could be also putting, it could be also lending a hand to put together a website.
Thank you, Aude, for this clear explanation. Let's now move to US to see how sponsorship is expressed.
Hello from West Bend. A number of our CSR activities and initiatives that we participate in include working with United Way, which is the largest nonprofit in the U.S. that works with employers on reoccurring employee giving and donations that go to various local needs. We also work with Habitat for Humanity, another large nonprofit organization that works with communities and community residents to ensure adequate or better housing. We work with the blood drive to do reoccurring blood drives and donations. We do a lot of seasonal events and holiday giving, including school supply donations, working with local parks on cleaning, a lot of partnering with schools, educational trainings, and donating and volunteering of our time. We also have a lot of initiatives in using and printing and giving binders, books of that nature from recycled paper, working on a printer for our totem to make sure that that's recycled material as well. And we are very proud of our Gehl Foundation and giving back to the employees' children or children of the employees that have higher education initiatives. And also very excited about our milestone and awards that we do for safety and various holidays, Arbor Day, planting trees, you name it. So all in all, a lot of giving to the community and giving to our employees and being mindful of the environment. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Samantha, for this feedback. Well, it seems that sponsorship has no boundaries at Manitou Group. Let's talk now with our VP Sourcing, Manitou and Gehl, on the question about responsible purchasing.
We launched this new charter last year in October on the occasion of 2021 Supplier Day. It represents more than a simple update, it's actually a complete overhaul of the policy. Just to give you an idea, the number of subjects addressed and even the volume of the charter has doubled. And this reflects the increased focus we are placing on ethics and social responsibility. Our group has grown significantly over the recent years in terms of worldwide employees, suppliers, and customer bases. So, this extended and improved responsible purchasing charter has the ambition and the aim to accompany this growth. It follows and even anticipates changes in regulation and legal requirements. It applies to our group, but also to all of our supply chain, including Tier 2 and Tier 3 suppliers, with two types of criteria, mandatory criteria and appreciated criteria. And these appreciated criteria are likely to become mandatory in the future. Let's take human rights, for example. Our criteria cover from the ban of child labor or the payment of a decent living wage to the ban of costly minerals. These things might appear granted in some regions, but they are still sensitive topics in other parts of the world. Let me give you two more examples. In business ethics, one of the mandatory criteria is to refrain from anti-competitive practices and to report about possible conflict of interest. The appreciated criterion is the deployment of a whistleblowing procedure in order to allow all parties to alert about possible unethical behavior. And in data protection, an example of a new appreciated criterion is the implementation of measures to prevent cyber attack risk and to promote transparency on data processing. All the employees in the purchasing department worldwide have been given training in this new charter and related process audit. In the next coming months, the same training will be extended to all employees of the other department regularly dealing with suppliers.
Thank you, Maurizio. That's now the end of our first topic. We have the pleasure now to welcome Laurent Bataille, Executive VP at Schneider Electric for France, who will give us the first analysis. Laurent, what's your feeling after these words, and how is human and ethics considered at Schneider Electric?
Thank you, Frank, for your question, and thank you for having me. It's always a privilege to talk about sustainable development across companies. I think we need to create more emulation, and this is a great opportunity today. So, yeah, we're hearing that Manitou is working on its sustainable development, especially on a number of themes, starting with human and ethics. It's been the case also for Schneider Electric. Over the past 15 years, we've worked on our sustainable development in the context of the United Nations initiatives. And more specifically, when it comes to human and ethics, two very important themes that we're focusing on. One is diversity and inclusion. And when it comes to diversity, you've talked about your gender index group, which I think is a very good initiative. On our side, we've taken a commitment by 2025 to really raise the proportion of female team members and leaders in Schneider Electric. And so what we're trying to achieve by that date, which is a few years down the road, is to reach a proportion of 50% of female in our new hires, 40% in the intermediary management ranks, and more than 30% in leadership positions. And of course, I mean, we would all like to see more parity, but in our industry market, we know we have to move the needle, and it starts with these very quantified objectives. Second very important point is you were talking about how you're handling your suppliers and your charter on purchasing. We have something that is very, very similar at Schneider Electric. We really think business runs on trust, and it's very important that our partners and our ecosystem behaves, of course, according to the law, but to best practices. And so we've published a trust charter that our suppliers need to abide to, and that we are really enforcing, because it's a fundamental way to run a sound business.
Thank you, Laurent, for this first analysis. Let's now move on to our next topic, low carbon trajectory. Let's join our second exclusive guest, Fabrice Bonifay, head of CSR at Bouygues Group, who presents his vision of the importance of low carbon objectives.
Dans un premier temps, c'est quasiment une division par deux de nos émissions, donc en moins de 7 ans, ce qui correspond à une baisse des émissions entre, suivant les métiers, 5 à 6% par an. Donc on a regardé les grands postes d'émissions, hein, et les grands postes d'émissions chez Bouygues, alors chez Bouygues Construction et chez Colas bien sûr, c'est les matériaux entrants. Donc comment on peut substituer des matériaux entrants très carbonés par des matériaux entrants qui le sont moins. Le deuxième levier, c'est bien sûr de travailler avec nos fournisseurs, parce que 70% de l'empreinte carbone d'un groupe comme Bouygues, mais c'est vrai dans toutes les entreprises, c'est ce qu'on achète. C'est le fameux scope 3 des bilans carbone que les gens commencent à connaître maintenant. Donc on a commencé déjà depuis plusieurs mois à organiser ce qu'on appelle des carbon fighters avec eux, où on se met ensemble autour de la table, on regarde exactement ce qu'ils nous vendent, on regarde comment ils le produisent et comment on peut trouver avec eux des solutions alternatives à court terme et comment on peut envisager le futur en renégociant les contrats, en essayant de sécuriser aussi avec eux des commandes et puis en les poussant, en les invitant fortement à se réinventer eux-mêmes pour que demain ils puissent nous proposer des solutions qui seront moins carbonées. Plus on va se rapprocher de l'échéance de 2030 et plus la pression de nos investisseurs, de nos parties prenantes va s'exercer sur nous, plus les partenaires qui seront les moins carbonés dans leur proposition de valeur seront privilégiés chez Bouygues, c'est une évidence. On attendra forcément d'un groupe comme Manitou des machines qui vont pouvoir utiliser des mix énergétiques décarbonés, mais y compris en énergie primaire. Donc il faudra aussi remonter dans la chaîne de valeur en ce qui vous concerne pour pouvoir fournir l'énergie verte qui va avec la machine. Si on veut ce qu'on appelle un coût carbone complet cohérent, c'est sur l'ensemble du cycle de vie et de production d'énergie jusqu'à l'utilisation de l'énergie de fonctionnement de la machine. Le principal frein à l'inaction climatique, partout, que ce soit au niveau des pouvoirs publics, au niveau des entreprises, c'est l'ignorance. Puis après, il y a un autre frein qui est socio-technique, socio-culturel. C'est-à-dire, bon, on a toujours fait comme ça, l'amélioration continue, la technologie va nous sauver, on va trouver des façons de faire autrement. Hein. Bon, ça, j'y crois moyennement, parce que je pense qu'on n'aura pas le temps de déployer la technologie magique, compte tenu de la fenêtre de tir qui nous reste maintenant pour agir vraiment. Donc, on n'a pas le choix de passer par la case sobriété. Et qui dit sobriété, dit modèle économique. Donc, est-ce que les entreprises vont accepter de gagner moins pour vivre longtemps ? C'est ça toute la question. La responsabilité de l'action incombe à ceux qui peuvent agir maintenant. Et ceux qui peuvent agir maintenant, ce sont les entreprises.
Thank you, Fabrice Bonifay. Well, we have obviously our role to play right now. Aude, as a major ambition this year, what's the situation regarding low carbon pathway?
You will remember last year we presented a carbon assessment. This has helped us to define a low carbon trajectory, and it has been divided now in clear and ambitious targets. We are aiming to reduce our emission on what we call scope 1 and 2, which means our own direct emission at Manitou Group, by 46% between 2019, which is a baseline, and 2030. Regarding scope 3, which is mainly for us emission from the use of our products, we are aiming to reduce emission by hour of use of our machine by 34%.
And which methodology did you choose for setting up your trajectory?
We decided to sign up for the SBTi guidelines. SBTi stands for Science-Based Target Initiatives. It sounds quite complex, but actually it's quite simple. It's an international organization which proposes methodology to reduce emission in alignment with the targets of the Paris Agreement. And our low-carbon trajectory is currently under review by the SBTi teams.
And also the coordination of this trajectory is of key importance, isn't it, Aude?
Yes, because to be efficient, we have to steer things in fine details, as close as possible to the emission sources. So to do this, we have acquired a tool, the carbon calculator, which helps to measure all the emission in each discipline and each perimeter with the appropriate KPIs. So, for example, for purchasing, we measure carbon dioxide emission per machine. For freight, we measure carbon dioxide emission per ton, per kilometer, and so on. So the quality of this data is extremely important because it's through these indicators that we will be able to steer and adjust our carbon trajectory in the best way.
I guess this data are also impactful on products.
Yes, they will become strategic for our business. For example, selling an electric machine will have a carbon impact depending in the country on which we sell this machine, because we are taking into account the energy mix of each country.
Thank you, Aude. Let's now look in more detail at the levers that we are going to work on. Elisabeth Ozimour, the first lever for our low-carbon trajectory is particularly relevant for you. Let me remind people that you are President of Product Division at Manitou Group.
Yes, Frank, that's right. The assessment of our emissions showed that 89% of our carbon emissions are linked to the use of our machines. So it's extremely important to provide to customers zero-emission solution or low-emission solutions. But we also follow a philosophy to do so. To design these innovative machines, is that we are delivering this solution without any compromise on performance and autonomy, which are basically what they are required also to work on a daily basis. And this is the principles of our design, which is based also on their duty cycle.
Okay, and I get the philosophy, but how do you do it in practice?
In practice, this year, we will launch 7 low-emission models. We are going to electrify 100% of our aerial working platforms, MUPs, this year. And this product will be available also in hybrid versions.
Okay.
We are also going to electrify our fixed and rotating telehandlers, and rotating one will also be marketed into hybrid version.
And what do you want to highlight regarding the use of these machines?
I should point out that this machine will be silent and then will be able to be used in urban environments, inside or outside for our customers. In terms of total cost of ownership, we take the commitment to our customer that they will save more than 20%.
Have you got any targets to tell us about?
Yes, of course. I just told you that our models will bring, that we will bring out this year, and there will be a lot more in 2023. We are going to continue to extend our low-emission products for the construction sector, but also for the ag market. And we are aiming for some ambitious targets. We are looking to sell 43% of our machine as low emission machine before 2030, as Aude already explained. To get there, we are putting our energy on electric, but also other energies like hydrogen.
Thank you very much, Elisabeth. Before to talk more about hydrogen, please have a look on a great testimonial from ArcelorMittal on a green steel.
Hello, everybody. Innovation really is a key focus for ArcelorMittal Steel Service Center Europe, as well as for the whole group. We are constantly improving the quality of our steels, developing new products and new applications, more environment-friendly solutions and processes. That makes us the global steel supplier of choice. Together with our customers, we are forging new frontiers with our products as we progress into a decarbonized world, especially with X-Carb initiatives, whose aim is to transform steel production using innovative processes that use less energy and emit less carbon. I'll let you discover now in the video that follow with different initiatives and green innovation projects already being deployed. In this journey, the Manitou Group has been one of our first partners to show an interest in these breakthrough technologies.
I'm standing here next to 27,000 solar panels, one of the biggest solar roofs in Belgium, and they're all made from homemade Magnelis steel. And in the background, you can see our wind turbines producing on-site 80 megawatt of renewable energy. What better place to start this X-Carb tour of projects and initiatives that will contribute to our climate ambition. Let me now take you to one of our smart carbon projects. Our smart carbon concepts have one thing in common. They are placing steel making at the heart of the circular economy. And that is exactly what we are doing here in our steel anode installation. We are capturing the off-gases from our steel-making processes and converting them biologically into bioethanol thanks to the technology of our partner Lanzatec. Exciting to see the progress here day by day. Whereas with steel and all, we are recycling a byproduct at the output of our process, with Torero, we are recycling at the input. Indeed, we will replace fossil coal by biocoal. Torero is about waste wood. But this year we also started the project Life Smart, which is about waste plastic. Here you see the so-called alter coal pellets. They are made from end-of-life plastics. Let me now take you to our Blast Furnace B control room. Our Blast Furnace B is one of the world's most advanced blast furnaces. This Blast Furnace B is also a very important step towards digitalization. It contains more measurements than the Space Shuttle. Our other Blast Furnace A will soon reach end of life. We have announced to replace this Blast Furnace A by a DRI installation and 2 electric furnaces. And when soon green hydrogen will become available, we will be able to inject this into the combined system. And in parallel to all this, we are creating an ecosystem that will maximize value creation from our activities. And a nice example is the use of the waste heat of our reheating furnaces of the hot strip mill in a neighboring hospital and town. That reinforces our license to operate.
Really interesting testimonial. The group is also capitalizing on other energy sources to accelerate its ecological transition. Let me turn to you, Julien Vechter. You are the Vice President of R&D at Manitou Group. What is it about hydrogen that makes it an interesting alternative?
Yes, Frank, you have already heard a lot about this energy, hydrogen. It's really one of the levels of energy transition. And the dynamic has never been so strong, with several strategic plans announced by the European Commission to promote innovation and industrialization on this subject. Green hydrogen, what it is? The carbon-free version of this energy. It's produced from water molecule electrolysis using windmill energy. That's what makes it so compatible with our low-carbon trajectory. And in addition, it's particularly interesting for us as a vector because hydrogen can combine power, storage capacity, but as well charging speed. And I said by Elizabeth earlier, in all our innovation, we are looking to harness the complementarity between electric and hydrogen, and we trust both can bring customer advantages thanks to our engineering skills.
And we often hear that hydrogen is a credible positive impact solution, but it lacks the infrastructure it needs. What do you think about that?
If you consider the automotive industry, it needs to install a dense network of hydrogen filling stations. That's true. But if this issue is completely different with EV duty cycle vehicle that we have, because they travel shorter distances and the radius of operation is much smaller on the construction site or on a farm.
And how do you do it concretely?
We are working to develop with partners the whole ecosystem, which is a key to a successful deployment of such a promising energy. We have a partnership ongoing with a building and public works contractors to test our product, but as well with energy suppliers and system integrators, which is key. And we are also exchanging with government authorities because we need legislation and highlight the need of short distribution channels, what we call the last mile solution.
Okay, thank you. And so what stage is Manitou Group at today?
We have a 3-year project plan to develop, assemble, and test demonstrator in real condition. Right now, the very first machine is being assembled in our workshops. We are working on 2 ranges of different products that will give us a high level of experience in off-road applications. And as you can see on this timeline, we are aiming to get homologation by the end of the year so that our product can meet real-life conditions. In addition, we have also started the building of our first hydrogen filling station in one of our test centers. This will allow us and our team to increase their experience and to anticipate future installations in our plants. So this is very promising. At the end of this 3-year test phase, we will decide, according to our market specialists, when to launch this product on the market.
And there are 2 other issues, which are safety and the revenue cost of hydrogen. What about them?
In terms of safety, I would say that hydrogen has similar characteristics to those of LPG. So there will be standards that will need to be updated and embed both LPG and hydrogen. When it comes to costs, we have today firm offers for the green hydrogen we will get supplied. As well, we have also some very accurate tendency for the next few years that will make it economically competitive with other installed energies such as electric or diesel. Really, carbon footprint is an issue and innovation is our solution.
Thanks a lot, Julien. That all looks very promising. Another lever to achieve low carbon objectives is a certification. Let's see how it works with Jean-Luc Lecor, Quality and EHS Director at Manitou Group.
At Manitou Group, we have already been in a continuous improvement approach for a long time. This ISO 50001 certification about energy efficiency is not the first certification that we want to achieve. We are already certified ISO 19001 for quality, ISO 14001 for the environment, and ISO 45001 for safety management. And this proves our maturity in these areas. The process of certification is, above all, a great way of accelerating a culture change by making sure every level of the company is involved. And so, in line with the new Horizon 2025 group strategy and the low carbon transition that we want to lead, it's therefore quite natural that we have come to deal with the subject of energy management certification. This certification 50001 is about improving the energy performance management of our industrial site. It's a worldwide standard. The first objective is to certify our French plants by June 2023, and in the following years, a deployment to our plants in Italy, India, and US. To achieve this certification, we have to act on 3 complementary levers. The first lever is technical, by insulating buildings, improving heating and lighting, optimizing electricity consumption, or processes like welding and painting. The second lever is organizational, with the creation of dedicated teams in the organization responsible for energy management. And the third one is obviously the human aspect. We need to get everyone on board and adapt energy-saving reflex and behaviors. We will accelerate the deployment of indicators and procedures to measure and improve our energy performance. We will be starting by identifying the biggest energy consumption points, analyzing the causes, and drawing up action plans. And one last point I want to outline. The world and our markets are changing very quickly, and more of our key account customers are asking us about this certification. They want to deal with the responsible players, and their certification ISO 15001 will be proof of our accountability.
Thank you very much, Jean-Luc, for this feedback. After energy saving, let's talk about the transportation. Drigu Seiker, you are the VP for the spare part business at Manitou Group. What are you working on to reduce its emissions?
Yes, hello everyone. You're right, the transportation is particularly important in our group because we have 8 different locations in almost every continent. So the first thing I want to say is that we are continuously working on different transport modes, which is the best for our customers in terms of lead time, best for our environmental targets because of the carbon footprint, but also best for us as Manitou Group.
So where do we stand today?
As like Michel and Aude already explained, to have a specific and accurate indicator is key to measure spare parts and attachments transport carbon footprint. We are finalizing those specific KPIs at this moment. And then the next step is to reduce the air freight express orders by 15% till 2030. So how we will do that? We are working on an initial stocking list project by warehouses and also recommended parts list project by the dealers. So if we have improved the right stock in the right place, then we don't need to ship spare parts all a long way away.
Thank you. And do you have any initiative also on road transportation?
Yes, in terms of truck transportation, we are working with one of our logistic providers for hydrogen trucks as a pilot project. As Julian said earlier, hydrogen is still an up-and-coming energy, so we have to help our logistic partners to find the right economic balance with cooperation and mutualization. But thanks to the European legislation, it is helping us a lot to move forward.
So what do we do in the meantime?
We are in the motion. We are already introduced the double deck truck for certain countries to double the transport capacity. So this means that we can cut our carbon emission by 30%. To make it efficient, we need necessary volume also to fulfill those trucks.
Thank you, Drigu, for all these innovations. We are pleased now to have a new guest with us. It's Armand Spalot, ESG criteria specialist for the investment firm Lazard Frères. Armand, can you explain us to what are the current expectations of your customers?
Thank you, Frank. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your questions. So, yes, we've definitely seen an increase in expectation for sustainable financial services from asset owners, both institutional and private. One of the main reasons for that is that they are better made aware of the impact of their investment on the environment. Pressure is also building on the demand side for regulators and firms to step up. At the same time, institutional asset owners must report on the impact of their investment and thus on how asset managers such as Lazard Frères Gestion integrate ESG requirements, so responsible investment requirements, into their investment process.
And how fast are those expectations changing, and how do you see the future evolving regarding regulations?
Well, this increasing citizens' awareness for sustainable finance can be linked to the signing of the Paris Agreement in 2015. This agreement aims to hold a global average temperature rise well below 2 degrees Celsius, but much has changed in recent years, particularly on the regulatory requirements with the European Green Deal in Europe. These evolving regulatory requirements have been welcomed by some, with skepticism, but we strongly believe that the path followed will be the right one. In part, indeed, thanks to that, all listed companies have now understood that ESG is an essential issue and must be integrated into their strategy. Yes, the European Union could have opted for a simpler or a more accessible framework, but we can say that this framework is the most efficient way to promote responsible investment in the world, and its implementation in the years to come will be key to work collectively towards a fairer and more sustainable world.
How is Manitou Group positioned in all this? What should we do better?
For Manitou, we look at Manitou at Lazare Frères Gestion through our own ESG analysis framework, which includes 3 independent yet complementary E, environmental, S, social, and G, governance pillars. So for each pillar, we focus on the most relevant, the most material criteria, using both qualitative and quantitative indicators. So for example, for Manitou, on the S pillar, we monitor accident rates, and we've welcomed its recent decrease in the past few years. As responsible investors, we also pay particular attention to all the stakeholders involved in the life of the companies we invest in, so staff, clients, suppliers, regulators, shareholders. And this event here really is a proof of Manitou's consideration of all its stakeholders into its strategy, and as well as the central place for sustainability issues, given to sustainability issues. So on the environmental issue, indeed, we were very pleased to hear about the low carbon strategy that's just been talked about. But this is just the beginning, and we now look forward to see how Manitou will keep disclosing on a yearly basis on how it meets or it does not meet its science-based targets.
Thank you very much, Armance, for clarifying this ESG criteria. Let's talk once again with Laurent Bataille. Laurent, what is your reaction after listening all these discussions?
So Frank, on the topic of decarbonation, I mean, of course, this is a fundamental part of our sustainable development at Schneider. I'm very happy to hear that Manitou is taking the topic very seriously. For instance, you were talking about hydrogen. For us, hydrogen is actually a topic we are taking quite seriously. And for instance, in January of this year, we've announced a partnership with Storengy, which is a subsidiary of Engie working on hydrogen to actually work together. And there's a myriad, I would say, of startups in the hydrogen sector that we are working with in order to develop the technology and work on the industrialization of this technology. Now, when it comes in general to the point of decarbonation, for us, it's of course a strategic theme for Schneider because it's at the core of our business. So we've done the analysis of our scope 1 and 2 and 3, and of course we are actually eating our own food or applying our own solutions on our operations, which is really our scope 1 and 2, to decarbonize. To do that, we're using our technology of energy management, building management system, a number of software or products in order to save energy, which really is helping us a lot. We are driving down our carbon emissions from our scope 1 and 2 very radically. The next frontier, of course, is now scope 3, and particularly working with our suppliers. So we've taken a demanding commitment here to actually help our top 1,000 suppliers cut by a factor of 2, cut in half, their carbon emissions in the course of the coming 4 years. And so it's a very short timeline where we're going to need to have a pretty big impact. And what we are doing is we are helping them from a methodology and technology perspective to get there. Finally, and that's something we call scope 4, we're working to help our customers save energy and, of course, diminish their carbon emissions thanks to Schneider Solutions. It's the core of our business. And we estimate that by 2025, we are gonna achieve our objective to avoid the emission of 800 million tons of CO2 by our clients.
Thank you very much, Laurent. We see that low carbon trajectory is really essential for each industry. But the third pillar of our roadmap is also important. I mean, working conditions and safety. We have the opportunity to listen once again to Fabrice Bonifay, who introduces this topic. Enjoy the video.
Pour améliorer la sécurité des machines, c'est vraiment un sujet essentiel pour nous. Ça fait partie des enjeux les plus matériels, la sécurité, lorsqu'on interroge nos parties prenantes. On a la chance aujourd'hui, alors là pour le coup c'est la technologie qui nous l'apporte, que ces machines nouvelle génération produisent tout un tas de data, de fonctionnement, de leur environnement, la température, la luminosité, le bruit, etc. Et on peut corréler ces data soit des comportements dangereux, soit carrément même des accidents ou des presque accidents. C'est d'utiliser un peu l'intelligence artificielle, et pas qu'un peu, pour anticiper en fait des situations qui pourraient mener à des accidents. Et je pense qu'aujourd'hui on ne le fait pas encore suffisamment, mais on sait très bien que ces systèmes-là sont fiables lorsqu'on produit énormément de data, et on aura de plus en plus de machines connectées, donc on va avoir énormément de data. Et donc si on peut, et je sais qu'il y a déjà des études qui sont faites dans ce domaine-là, arriver à avoir des modèles prédictifs qui nous permettent de renforcer en amont les procédures, les incontournables, les situations où il faut redoubler de vigilance, etc. et in fine améliorer la sécurité, tant mieux. Sachant aussi qu'à contrario, il ne faut pas que, sous prétexte que les machines sont plus sophistiquées, ça conduise aussi nos opérateurs à prendre plus de risques. Donc il y a cet équilibre-là à trouver, on voit bien dans les voitures comment ça se passe, mais on espère quand même que ce surcroît de sécurité que les machines vont nous apporter demain se traduira tout simplement dans nos taux d'accidentologie, parce qu'il n'y a que ça qui compte in fine.
Thank you, Fabrice, and thank you once again for accepting our invitation. Let's see now how Manitou Group products are committed to safety. Well, on that video, you saw all innovations that we have on our machines. Let's now look at how we have built safety for our employees. Let's go behind the scene in our plant with you, Elisabeth. What are the main actions in terms of safety and working conditions?
Well, Frank, at first, last year, we have decided to invest a massive plan of 150 million euros in our industrial facilities to prepare our future capacities. In these future investments, obviously, safety and working conditions remain a key point, as it has been done in our brand new plant in Candé, which was inaugurated end of March this year.
And can you give us a first example?
Yes, sure. For instance, while designing its layout, we have collected and integrated the safety risks around lifting heavy loads and working postures to improve people working conditions and, as a consequence, integrate and boost their motivation, commitment, and productivity.
So how did that work in practice?
In the design of the Candé plant, which covers 18,000 square meters, which is very big, there was a special focus on noise reduction. Thus, we installed panels to reduce echoing. And we also invested in tools and equipments fitted with the latest technology to make them less noisy and improve the working environment.
I guess you also improved the brightness.
Yes, exactly. And to do so, we have taken inspiration of what was done in one of our premises in Italy, so that we have positioned the windows properly, and we also use light color painted for floors and walls, so that operators see better where it works and spot defects, for instance. This contributes to improve quality of our machines. And we have also observed that it encourages people to keep their workstation clean and tidy.
Very interesting. And what about working postures?
Workstations have been designed to adapt the operator's aids and working aids. On the first workstation in this new plant, we have fitted lifting table built into the floor so that people can work standing up straight. This was where we used to have some of the worst ergonomic issues for people.
I understand. And what have you also worked on?
We also worked on improving manual and then physical tasks. In the past, the electric screwdriver, for instance, was very heavy, so that now it is suspended, reducing back pain risks. And these new tools, on top of that, is also connected and to our IT system, and it shows the operator what torque is supposed to use and where it is supposed to screw. And then this is also a guarantee for our customers of quality. It is flexible, efficient, and it improves quality.
As we are moving plenty of components to assemble machines, how to carry the loads?
We have, in addition to that, we have deployed modern equipment for handling the load. And this handling equipment are aiming to make sure that no one has to carry a load above 15 kilograms. This will help us to hire a wider range of profiles, and thus even more women, for instance.
And I understand there are also new robots.
Absolutely, Frank, there are. These smart robots automatically supply carts to the production line. Beforehand, these tasks were done by the operator, and it was pushed by hand. With this new process, the operators prepare the cart, and then the robot, which is called AMR, that means automated mobile robots, comes, take the carts, go to the production line, and feed the assembly line with the components.
But isn't it dangerous?
No, it isn't, because the robots are fitted with an anti-collision system to avoid any type of collision while by detecting the obstacles. Then the AMR also comes back with the empty cart at the end of the flow, and then comes back to the warehouse, and then the cycle can start again. And obviously, when necessary, it goes to the filling station to get energy back.
Okay, and finally, Elisabeth, I gather that there's been a lot of work done on circulation routes.
Yes, this one is also a main one, because as you may imagine, Frank, we have a lot of traffic with such production rates in a plant. So the risk of collision can be very big. For that reason, we have decided to separate the flows.
And can you give me more details about these flows?
Yes, sure. For instance, the routes taken by the forklifts have been separated by the routes for pedestrians. And then we have two different paths. One out of two is for forklifts and the other one for human. And this guarantees, obviously, the safety of our employees.
And what about external flows?
External flows, similarly, we have decided that no trucks is entering the site anymore. Then we have placed the shipping area and also the reception of the components nearby the road to avoid such traffic inside our plant and inside our site.
And what will you do with these initiatives?
Some of these initiatives will become standard. And when I was talking about the massive plan for our production site, we will roll out, of course, this will be taken into account in our future investments.
Okay, maybe one word to conclude, Elizabeth?
Yes, sure. So, all in all, these improved working conditions have helped to recruit, build the commitment and the motivation of our teams. So it is very important one. And our employees' health and safety will always remain by Manitou Group our top priority.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
You're very welcome.
It's now time to listen to the European rental company Bulls, who has a lot to say about working conditions and safety.
Bulls Rental is one of the largest rental companies in Europe. This includes both generalist and specialist rental. In our CSR framework, we are focusing on 4 sustainability aspects: customer, employee, environmental, and social care. We aim to influence the European rental market. Therefore, we invest in sustainable fleet, prioritize safe and healthy workplaces, and reduce our environmental impact. In addition, renting instead of owning close-by locations and efficient logistics allows our customers to meet their CSR goals.
Bulls believes in sustainability and in a sustainable rental fleet for everyone. Orange is the new green is our promise. Our eco-label, for instance, helps customers distinguish greener alternatives for conventional machines. Our fleet consists of hybrid machines, electric and battery-powered machines, but also we invest heavily in stage 5 machines that make a big step in fuel consumption and have a lot of machines that use alternative fuels. We are constantly expanding our zero-emission fleet, from lighting towers to battery packs, from excavators to, next year, the Manitou rotating telehandler. We have a large and broad selection of zero-emission equipment, especially in the Netherlands and Norway, but we see that in other countries the zero-emission market is growing as well. Manitou is, just like Bulls, a front-runner in its field, innovative and reliable. The recently announced rotating telehandler is a perfect example, groundbreaking in its category, and one of the largest zero-emission machines made. Manitou can look forward to a bright future in developing innovative equipment and solutions. Bulls will continue to invest to stay on top of market developments. Manitou is one of the suppliers that we'll keep teaming up with to serve our customers best. At Bulls, safety is at the foundation of our business. In all our processes and projects, a great deal of attention goes into working safely. Obtaining the Safety Culture Ladder Step 2 certificate shows that in Bulls, safety is in our DNA. Also, where it comes to our fleet, safety is a huge factor. Every tool or machine coming back to our depots is being checked, tested and repaired according to laws and regulations. We also use a mandatory label to show that the machine is good to go to our customer. Bulls offers a broad range of trainings and certifications. We use our trainings program to train both our employees and our customers on beginner and expert level. Customers and employees are also an important and integral part of our CSR framework.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Bas. Interesting to see that working condition and safety are the priority of all our stakeholders. Let me turn to you right now, Laurent. How would you describe what you heard about safety and working conditions?
So, Frank, on the topic of safety and well-being at work, of course, these are very critical themes for employees. It's great to see what you're doing at Manitou. We actually think, of course, safety is paramount to everything we do and that you do in factories. And you have to say it has to go beyond factories because it's actually more difficult to ensure safety when you're outside of what I would call a controlled environment. So when you're on the road, for service technicians or where you're actually on a work site. But it's very, very important. Now, when it comes to well-being, that's really an interesting area where I think we can all progress. So it was quite interesting to hear you talk about how you conceive your new sites. The conception phase of factories or tertiary building, offices is something quite important to make sure we foster a good ergonomy, good comfort, a good collaboration, and ultimately a very good engagement of people at work. We have to really flourish at work. And I think the more companies put their attention into the well-being of their employees, whether it's physical well-being, mental, emotional, social, the more people will actually be at ease, committed, engaged at work, and they will produce collective, fantastic outcomes. So for us, one of the big topics recently has been to really create more awareness and make sure there's appropriate training on these topics of well-being, both the well-being in general, but also mental health. We've all heard that COVID has been quite demanding on that topic, and we're also pushing new ways of working. Helping our employees to deal with this hybrid work environment where collaboration is fundamental. So I think you're on the right themes here. We're all trying to learn, and it's quite critical to make sure everyone is engaged at work.
Thank you very much, Laurent, for this contribution. Let's move on to our last pillar of CSR roadmap, circular economy. Duigu, perhaps you can remind us what the circular economy means for us at Manitou Group.
So, the circular economy in our group means inventing new economic models around taking back the equipment, extended the lifespan of our products, and increasing the proportion of material recycled in products and their recyclability ratio.
And to do that, you developed a Riemann range that we talked about last year. What's the latest news on that?
Oh, we have come a long way. Reconditioned parts range is now available in 30 countries, mainly in Europe and the US, but also extending to the Middle East and so on. These Riemann or remanufactured spare parts reduce the maintenance cost for our customers and give a second life to the used parts. Since they are rebuilt with original components, they are as reliable as new parts and with identical warranty. At this moment, we have 180 references in the range, and this number is increasing every year.
And has this range found an audience?
Ah, yes, absolutely. We are growing exponentially. So only between 2020 and 2021, we increased our orders by 10%, and still increasing day by day. Our aim is to extend Riemann offer further to other countries. For that, we have to design strategies for each region of the world and study whether it is better to remanufacture ourselves or outsource it with local certified repairers. To make sure we have correct lead time for our customer, but also we don't increase our transport footprint by shipping the parts and the cores all around the world.
Thank you, Duigu. And I've heard you've totally redesigned the packaging of spare parts.
Yes, last year we harmonized all our packaging from 3 different brands to one Manitou Group brand. Just to give you an idea, we ship around 570,000 parcels per year around the world. So, to have one brand as Manitou Group brand helped us a lot to optimize our footprint.
When you talk about packaging, there are several aspects. There's inside and outside.
Yes, inside the parcels, we put parts with some paper to stop moving around during transportation. When we reduce the size of the boxes, we also reduce the amount of paper to fulfill the boxes. Plus, our operators also have been trained in how to use less paper. Moreover, 160,000 parts references need to be packed with a stretch wrap for protection during transport. This means 13,000 kilogram plastic usage in 2021 only in France warehouse. Imagine we have 8 different warehouses all around the world. This year we started a project to increase the recycled plastics in our packaging by 40% till 2025.
Such a great objective, and how will you do that?
The first solution we found is to use pallet boxes to avoid scratch wrap and reuse them forever. Forever when we send to the customer, when we send to our suppliers, but also intersite transportation.
So the last thing is cardboard and ink.
Yes. When we look at our packaging material, all our boxes we use now is FSC certified and 100% recyclable. In terms of ink, we have reduced the number of colors. We have gone from 5 different colors only to 2, which has incidentally reduced our cost by 75%. This new packaging has been deployed not only in France, in all the group logistics centers with raw material providers who are local. So it means we are not also sending the boxes all around the world. We are using the local suppliers so we can reduce our carbon footprint as well as without transporting around the world.
Well, we see there is no lack of subject from your side, Dvigu. Thank you.
For sure.
Let's go right now to Australia with a testimonial of the Managing Director of Manitou Australia, Stuart Walker.
Hello, Frank. Hello, everyone. Yes, the circular economy really matters for the Manitou Group and the team in Australia. Our team today are conscious of the role we need to play in the circular economy. We recognise that sustainability is a key aspect of our current and future success. And today we are sharing our passion for sustainability and driving change by working with our clients. A great example is the work we are doing with Coates on the circular economy. One pillar of this collaboration is to introduce more sustainable products to the Australian market. Greener choices is what we say. For example, we recently introduced the Manitou MT930 telehandler to the Coates fleet, the first machine fitted with a Stage 5 engine in their fleet of materials handling equipment. A machine that, combined with initiatives such as the Manitou Revive Oil program, can reduce the TCO and environmental impact through the life of the machine, not just the carbon footprint. The introduction of this machine will help Coates develop their greener choices range of products to support their customers transition to a lower carbon footprint. We are certainly excited to see these machines on Australian job sites, along with some electric machines in the not too distant future, we think. We also have recently been involved with the development of the Coates Supplier Evaluation Tool. This tool will help ensure that they have a transparent tool to help everyone and drive the change across their supply chain. Manitou's approach to the circular economy is appreciated by Coates, and for sure we'll continue to share ideas and initiatives on how we can work together with our clients to do our part together to leave a positive legacy where we set the world in motion.
Thank you, Stuart, for letting us know about this great cooperation. And last but not least, a topic developed by Pascal Graff, who is our Service Development Manager at Manitou Group, regarding a dismantling solution.
When we look at Manitou's projects to do with the circular economy, machine dismantling is near the top of the list. There is a lot of potential because we estimate that there are 182,000 machines over the age of 15 and that approaching the end of their life. And this means 600,000 tons of equipment. In 2018, we ran a project to study the machine dismantling process and improve how we can need it to take a machine apart. But now we are going even further. We have just joined an academic chair called Circular IT, led by the engineering school Central Supélec and Systemix RRT, in association with other big companies. We want to create a process that can be mass developed, where our decommissioned machines don't leave any visible impact on the environment. We are doing this because it's something we believe in. It is in our DNA, but we have also anticipating new environmental obligation on the extended producer responsibility. And the benefits can also be economic, because when we take a machine apart, we can reuse the component in 3 ways. First, we can sell them as remanufactured parts. We recondition them, give them a warranty, and sell them at about 70% of original parts. Secondly, we can sell them as second-hand parts, which we check and we sell at around 30 to 50% of the original parts price. And finally, we have got parts that we can recover as material, like metals, plastic, oil, tires, batteries, which we can sell into a recycling channel. We are taking part in the academic chairs studies because we want to make the dismantling process and flow economically viable. By the end of 2022, we are aiming to have finished the economic feasibility studies and start dismantling several machines so that we can start with the experience curve.
All right, Pascal, we can't wait to come back to you next year to see the second step of this chair. We'll have now the last testimonial from our special exclusive Laurent Bataille, Executive VP France for Schneider Electric. Laurent, what can you say about circular economy? I guess you have also a lot to do with that.
So Frank, on the topic of circular economy, I'd like to really say congrats for these initiatives, both the ones on packaging, the reduction of plastics, of course, the reuse of certain product parts. This is really great to hear. And I also very much like the example of the disassembly of older equipment to see how much you can reuse in there. Circular economy, let's be clear, is in its early stage, but it offers a fantastic opportunity long-term to cater to the needs of our customers and of the economy for growth, whilst using resources in an efficient and reasonable way. At Schneider, we've actually also worked on the topic. We've launched a specific label called Circular Certified for the French market, which is the market where we are advancing first in this domain. And we've done that since 2020. This label is actually marking products that are coming from circular economy. And we're going to expand that label to the rest of Europe and then more globally pretty soon. Just wanted to give an illustration of what we are doing here. For instance, we have a center in Bourg-et-Bus in France, which is close to Caen. And what we do there is we actually repackage products, new products where the packaging has been damaged, sometimes in the logistics. And we're actually repackaging to put it back into the value chain. We're also reusing products that have never been used and that have been returned by customers, for instance, because there are too many or these are stocks that we are not rotating. So we want to actually not destroy these, but really reuse them, test them typically, and use them again. We're also repairing products. So we see some products that have been used in the past. We actually make an assessment of whether we could repair them, send them back to specific parts of our factories that can repair them, and then we are bringing them online for a second life. Or we recycle. Sometimes we cannot repair, so what we do is we actually disassemble the products to get back some of the materials. An illustration is that these circular transformation just in the site of Bourg-et-Bus last year has helped us save around 1,000 tons of CO2. So, these are a lot of small steps that at the end have a pretty big impact. I'd like to stop there. I'm very happy to have been able to testify. It's a great opportunity. I'm impressed by the progress of Manitou in that regard. It's good to see other industrial companies having the same vision of working for the planet, the environment, and the society as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurent, and thanks again for your participation at On the Way Up. That was a real pleasure to exchange with you. It's now time to conclusion with Michel Denis. So, Michel, the last words belongs to you. What are your impressions after everything you heard today?
I think we can welcome this acceleration in our CSR commitments. And most of all, I would like to say thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to all our people who are running out this roadmap and without whom nothing would be possible.
And what are your main takeaways from the program today?
Two takeaways I'd like to underline. First, the importance of the governance that we've introduced. It will definitely help us achieve our ambitious targets. Governance that's supported by a change management policy that we are conducting, particularly with regards to the training of all our people on CSR topics.
And what is the second point you want to highlight?
Second key takeaway, you have seen it today. CSR is making progress in all areas of the companies. Our achievements are everywhere. Everybody's concerned. And I add that CSR is part of individual targets for all managers. For the next year, we will continue to deploy, we will continue to progress. We will focus in putting in place the appropriate tools to better measure our performance. And as a conclusion, I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you for your actions. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your collaboration, and thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to coming back next year for another update on our CSR achievements. And I am in no doubt at all that we will have a whole lot of new achievements to tell you about. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Michel, for these words. Thank you very much for that conclusion. Thanks again to Laurent Bataille, Fabrice Bonifay, and everyone who took part in this second edition of On the Way Up. And thank you, all of you out there, for watching us today. Have a good day, everyone, and see you soon again.